This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 103. Do more with less contacts in your database. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action in a more strategic direction, I've created a free jumpstart course for you to become a better manager of your business, and it's waiting for you over at freeagentgift.com, freeagentgift.com. I know whether you're a veteran or not, this will help you like it did help me get more strategic. And of course, if you're new to the business, it is so critical to get started in the right direction. All right, here we go. Do more with less contacts in your database. So let me speak first to all the top producers, folks that already have a business, because this is one of the biggest problems that they have, as I realized that myself. However, of course, if you're new to the business and there's a blank slate, I'll deal with that as well. So the concept of database becomes very important, because when you're establishing a service business like real estate agency, it's a contact database filled with people that you are in the process of serving, have already served. So when you think about database, it's everybody. It's the all-encompassing subject of the business. It's not just, for example, your past clients in a database, your new leads in a database. It's the concept of everything. That's what this business is about. And if there's any value in it, it's the consistent flow of new contacts that are becoming clients, that are going through a satisfactory process at closing, becoming happy past clients. And that comes all the way back to cycle back and help your business grow with repeat business or referred business. That's just the way it works. It's universal. There's no way around that. So the concept of database and growing it and keeping it healthy, that's really my subject here today, becomes very important. Okay, so the first point here is the only thing worse than an empty database is a bloated one. I know all of you folks that are brand new to the business or just getting your license, you think you have an empty database. But let me deal with that first of all, okay, because I want you all to calm down. This concept of sphere of influence, just generally in life, refers to all of the people who know, like, and trust you to a certain extent already. They just don't have you in their minds yet as you're new in the context of a real estate professional. Certainly we can help here with that, but just understand that. But you still have people that are quote unquote, in a database that you have, especially in this modern age if you're active on social platforms. For example, if you have followers on Twitter, if you have friends on Facebook, if you have followers on Instagram, or followers on LinkedIn, for example, or subscribers on YouTube, those are concepts of database to a certain extent. Now, clearly there's not full control. There's not deep relationship in a lot of those things. A lot of them are tacit or light. I understand that, but everybody has some semblance of a database of influence, okay? That's important to understand that. But we're trying to organize it in the context of real estate, clearly, because we're trying to build a business. So this concept of empty, don't feel so bad. You have more than you think to start. But I want to deal with this bloat situation. So literally during the year when I'm filming this one and recording this, I just cleansed my database, because as time goes on, I learn from a lot of information marketers who clearly their list is everything to them because they don't have a physical sale like we do a lot of the time. Maybe they have some physical events, but most of the time it's a digital sale. So their concept of building this database, segmenting it correctly so they can send the right email marketing campaign to that person and then change it as that dialogue changes. It's all automated conversation. So this concept of learning from these folks really became important to me about 8 or so years ago, and I started to listen. And I'll never forget going to the software conference that Infusionsoft was holding. And I remember the founder, Clayton Mask, talking about people that were direct mail marketers. Okay, so go back pre-digital. People that had these big lists, these big databases that were more physical, and they were printed, and they were really more so for mailing lists, right? And they would freak out I've got to get my database cleaned up. I've got to get it segmented. I'm sending the wrong message to the right person. I'm wasting money. So the birth of a lot of the digital solutions were companies like Infusionsoft. That happens to be the software that I use for my business. And again, very robust software, but it was empty. And it needed to be told, well, how do you want to segment your database? How do you want to organize it? And that's why I say, please, will you go over to freeagentgift.com and at least download the infographic, because then you'll see what I'm talking about. I just simply thought about, how does the business really work? Thank you, Michael Gerber. How does it really work, and in what order? And for a database, let's just take that. I call it sort of mostly the real heartbeat of the database is the conversion process. That's one module. Clearly, I talked about past client. You can organize your closings. There are a lot of modules, but the heartbeat of it is in the section where we are converting a contact. Everything's a contact in a database. It's just contact info. We don't know disposition until we talk about that, meaning, are they a lead? Are they a prospect? Are they a client? And we have to even give definition to what those things mean to us. We don't need everybody else's definition, just a clear, simple one for us so we can organize. And then the back end, past client, or they're tagged with closing. So a lot of database organization is done with tagging. It's easy in a digital context. Back in our olden days, perhaps you had the file box, the little white card, and you could put the card and you could segment those off or use wire racks. There are a lot of rudimentary physical ways to organize your list or your database, right? But it's this concept now, when we hear it, we automatically think digital because we live in a digital age. So the idea is to organize. So if you're new, what a great opportunity, because most of those types of social media databases or spheres of influence that you carry, there's no context to them. So what do? You use the concept of content marketing to go out there and promote a market update or talk about a market update for engagement. Key word. We want to engage that sphere of influence so that those people can transform themselves from a general sphere contact into potentially a lead. But once we have that lead, it would be really important once they have some engagement, meaning they respond to one of your market updates, for example, and then you engage them. And you see if they can be made into a prospect by offering some further services. And somewhere you want to pull them off of that platform and put their name and contact info into a place where you can organize your services in a different way. See where I'm going? Pretty simple. But in the early digital age, here's what went wrong to cause database bloat. There was a short window of time, and boy, it just happened like lightning. I mean, I was so used to running direct response ads in the newspaper as I was taught. They worked. People would pick up the phone. We would say, look, to get access to this information, we'll have to take down your exact criteria. It's best if we do that face-to-face. And of course, nothing's changed really with sellers. We needed to go over to their house. So you could request, as a gateway, a meeting, a physical meeting. Well, all of a sudden now, that way of lead generation starts to atrophy. I can see my expenditure in the newspaper. All of a sudden, it's not yielding the result. People aren't calling in like they used to, and they're saying, man, I don't really need to meet with you because everything's online. So, boom, we just hit this brick wall for the way that the consumer behaved, and that's fine. You want to listen, and I did. I'm always trying to adjust. So all of a sudden, there was this proliferation of these companies early on that could capture leads. Listen to that word for a second. Let that echo versus there's this interesting juxtaposition these days between the word capture, a lead, and engage somebody. I like the latter so much better. That's why I really like what's happening. It's confusing. It's difficult to deal with how this works, but I'm excited about it. I think there's great opportunity for those that really have the servant's mentality. So now you look at all of these opportunities to get leads. I mean, it goes back to Glenn Ross, the great movie with Alec Baldwin, when they're talking about leads and people are saying, oh, those leads are no good. And he's saying, yes, they are, and blah, blah, blah. It's a good scene. Go at least YouTube the scene. And the point is, what is a lead even? And why am I going out to buy them? Well, everybody went and rushed as if it was the latest gold rush, right? You could get lead capture websites up quickly, and you could put a gateway between the ad and the access to the pictures of the properties. And early on, a lot of people who were very valid buyers, especially, this is definitely a buyer technique, would just opt in. And so all of a sudden, top producers who could afford this would go out and spend enormous amounts of money every month just to get leads. I mean, I've coached them. I've been there, but I had restraint. I just could smell something going wrong. And I was already into database management at that point in time, and I was doing a halfway decent job. But I recognized really at this time, I had a bloated database. I had gotten a lot of leads from direct response that were bloating my database. A lot of people were delusionally looking for a steal or a distress sale and all these bloody words we used to use to try to attract people. And they were up, these weren't serious buyers. These were people staying up, listening to the latest infomercial on how to get rich by, no money down, etc. So not even the type of business that I really wanted to be in, but I did it anyway. So the first thing I did back then, when all these new sites were coming out and I was moving off of that type of advertisement in the paper, I purged. I just got rid of a whole bunch. In fact, there was a whole section of my database where I looked at my team and said, we're done with this. Don't worry about it. And we were moving to Infusionsoft from an older version of a database. And I just said, forget it. Forget it. Let's just start cleanly. And that was a little harrowing at first because, you think to yourself, I've spent all this money and I've acquired all these leads, but they're not even the people that I first of all, don't get me wrong, I would serve anybody. I have to say that a lot here to validate this because you need to know my heart. If somebody came to me, no matter what price range, no matter what circumstance, and they asked for me to help them, yes, yes, and yes, okay? But as a business person, I need to think intelligently about the vibrance of my business, its survival, how it really works, what really needs to be happening in it, and just be smart. So the idea of going through this would be, all right, let's get real. Let's get strategic about marketing, first of all, before we even create this database. Who would we like to have in it? Well, for me, I sat back and said, okay, let's first of all make the area smaller. Let's get leads that want to do business closer to our office where we really have an understanding of the marketplace. And then we can always expand. But let's just stop trying to get leads from all over the place because that's the problem with that technique. And we cleaned it up. But we got rid of all the words like free list of distress sales and bargain basement stuff. And because again, like I say, it wasn't that I was avoiding, say, a first-time home buyer or somebody who that's all they could afford. I was attracting a lot of pretenders, people that thought they were going to get into this real estate investment business, and they weren't even serious. So it was a colossal waste of money and time and effort. So I stopped it. And then I started to get serious about running ads on Google pay-per-click that would lead to this, yes, lead capture, but it would at least give them real quality information. It was branded. I wasn't trying to bait and switch anybody. They could see it was me. If they opt in, they knew it was a realtor so that by the time we got on the phone and we began to serve them and ask them if they were getting everything that they wanted, not asking for anything in return, and it really began to work. And we had less. So while I was coaching people that were still getting 200, 250, 300, as they grew their teams, 400 leads a month, and they would brag about it, I'd be thinking to myself, you just don't even, now as a coach, I know this, so I'm going to say it, and it'll aggravate some people, okay? You aren't even close to capable of handling that many leads, and I know why. Because you've never, most of you top producers, ever sat down and really considered the conversion process and where you weren't managing it. Neither had I. Guilty first before I accuse, okay? But you weren't ready. So you became cream skimmers. In other words, you would hire people and then you started to hire people overseas because you could get them for less and you were trying to skim the cream. And this thing was just going down as best practices. And I could see it. And I could see the waste. And I could see all these leads. And guess what was happening to the database? Bloated. In other words, there was just this huge cache of leads. There's only so much a telemarketing staff can get to in a day. And there's more coming in. And getting people on the phone was getting tougher and tougher and tougher. So it's getting more and more bloated. What's the cure? Okay? Well, I gave you a hint that the cure was there, but let me call out the problem. I called it lead squirreling. because that's what we were doing. And we as top producers in this industry were bragging to each other. And we were getting sold by all of these companies that were proliferating as lead gen companies. And then we were being told, well, just run to your lender and your lender will put some money in. You'll get more leads and the lender will be happy. And, again, I get it. But is that best practices for management? Are you really even thinking about what the ad says to get the lead in, what the fulfillment of the offer is you made, and then servicing those people to make sure their experience is all on par with what's being offered? That's your brand, folks. That's how the world sees you, how you treat them. But you become so addicted and transactional, now you're lead squirreling, and you're just trying to get as many as you can. And now gosh, I never saw a group of professionals get played with this concept. Oh, well, we limited only to a couple users over here. As if running an ad on Google is limited by Google. Come on, folks, right? Yes, maybe they limited because the platform would get watered down and they couldn't get as many leads. It's a race to zero. In my not so humble opinion, it's lead squirreling, and worse, then it becomes hoarding. And this is where the bloat comes from. The two leading causes of bloat: lead squirreling to start, get as many as I can, and then hoarding them. Meaning what? Where's your purge process? What is it? See, because you paid for them now, and now you're stuck saying, well, I can't get these. I paid a lot of money. Yes, you made a mistake, and now you're hoarding them. And this leads to the third point here, which is really a big problem. Now you have to start. I'm going to tell you to stop doing this, but I'm going to say this is what that cause of bloat now causes. You start looking for solutions to problems you caused. Let me explain this for a second. This is fascinating to me, right? Human behavior. So we have all this hoarding and bloating going on. And now we're hiring more telemarketers, perhaps, for less money, because now there's pressure on all this. This is getting expensive. And now we have to have these people jump on these huge piles, and we're yelling at them because they're not getting enough appointments, and we're firing them, and we're turning them over. You just keep causing these problems. If you would only go back and just slow down and say to the lead gen platform, can you show me the ad you're running? Can we tighten up the geography? Can we maybe even throw in a price range? Can we throw in a smaller subset in the ad links, the site links? Can we just throw in a couple of areas that are very specific where there's still enough business, there are still enough homes to offer, and people really look that way? Go back there and solve the problem. Don't just keep blindly doing this. And worse, shame on all of us that abdicate that kind of responsibility to these third parties to make decisions for us. Because now we're hiding under the management table, shaking in our boots. God forbid, should you turn around and go manage your business? Hoarding, squirreling, and bloating. And now you're trying to solve it all. You're throwing more money at it. See the problem here? Heed this warning, all ye who come to the business for the first time. This is basic 101 concept of building a healthy database. Let me go back to information marketers. I listen to a lot of really sharp people. I hear some of those guys and gals that used to have 10,000, 11,000, 30,000 leads, and now they're down to 4,000, 3,000. Well, I just did that just the other day before this podcast, which is what inspired this. And I had about 10,000 between the two businesses, the Griffin Realty Group and the Realty Classroom, which is the coaching arm of that. And I really culled it down. I'm pretty sure I think I have just north of a quality 1,060, 1,040 leads in the Realty Classroom. And I have somewhere around 2,875 in the Griffin Realty Group. And those are all different types of people. Sounds small to a lot of you. But we have pretty good businesses, and we're trying to grow them. But before we grow them, we don't want to do this. We don't want to start just getting leads for the sake of leads. And in fact, lead gen is so much more difficult these days. It's hard for either one of those businesses to do it. So we have to think smartly through engagement processes, engagement funnels, giving away our best stuff for free, not just once, but twice, but 20 times, 30, whatever it's going to take. So we're actually now forced into this. And by the way, if when you're listening to this and upon its recording, you're still going out there and trying to get all these leads, I'll guarantee you that we have already burnt out the consumer, especially on the buy side, right? Even some of the big tech companies that think they're, real savvy about lead gen, they found the same problems. Now they're only limited to a couple of agents here and there that can really pay way too much money for buyer leads. So this is a real problem. But you can really, really solve it this way. Here's the final point. Just start by serving better quality leads, prospects, clients, and past clients in a deeper way. Calm down. Think about your goal for a second here. Let's just think individually. I mean, I know a lot of top producers, and depending on how much personal leverage they have on their direct book of business, meaning I have somebody who helps me with telemarketing, I have somebody that helps me with the client care management, I have generally for the company, but also my deals, a closing coordinator. And then we have a team of independent contractors. So it takes a lot of people to be successful. And all of the top producers that I coach and have coached over now 15 plus years, I see that they get to a capacity of around 4 to 6 deals a month. I'm not saying that there's not others, and they'll say, I do much more than that. I know, bravado. Here we come. I know, though, how you do it. You spend a ton of dough doing it, your margins stink, and you hire a ton of people. So you get the trophy at the end of the year. Bravo. I'm not interested in that conversation. I am interested in helping you clean it up. So when you're ready, you know where to find me. And that starts by saying, look, if I know and clarify, this is marketing 101, if I can clarify my avatar, I have a better one. I make a better offer on the ad. I make a better offer on the landing page. And maybe it's not even capture anymore. Maybe on the landing page, it's engagement. Message me. Chatbot. What would you like to do next? We're moving in a new world. Serve them all the way there. And the people that aren't interested in engaging you yet will continue to vet you, stalk you, which is cool. Let them hang around. Let them use the free stuff. All good? Because then when they're ready, they'll appreciate it. And now they move into a conversation that leads to a prospecting opportunity. Meaning they're saying, sure, you can continue to help me. I'm not ready to commit to you yet to have you over the house or show me a property, but we're getting warmer. No problem. Wonderful. Hey, by the way, did you see that market update? Here's what it means. Hey, did you see that sold property right down the street from you? I think this is how it affects you. That's serving people deeper. It's giving away more stuff for free. And if it's organized in this database with less people, you're having more quality conversations that you can actually see moving along the pipeline. Makes tons of sense. And then when you get them to the client, you really have more time to serve them because you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't do my lead gen today and everybody's freaking out. Less is more. You get the point, okay? So let me just go back. Do more with less contacts in your database by recognizing that the only thing worse than an empty database is a bloated one. And that comes from the 2 major causes, lead squirreling and hoarding. So stop looking for solutions to solve these problems you've caused and go back and start serving better all the way from even your marketing as somebody becomes a lead, to a prospect, to a client, to a past client, etc. Okay? Let me summarize this way. When we run our real estate businesses in a high-speed, transactional manner, it's the equivalent of not only eating too fast, but eating poorly. We need to slow down and start with a cleanse and protect the health of our data. Once reorganized or starting off in a more strategic manner, we will no longer have to waste time solving problems that we have caused and can start creating deeper and more meaningful relationships with our contacts, fortifying the overall health of our business. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction or a better direction, starting to organize all this stuff, because I have this free, simple plan over there at freeagentgift.com. And again, if you simply just download the infographic, it's a great start to show you how the business works in one page. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also give away, we broadcast, we give you an insight into our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So remember, turn on your page and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom so you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it. Please do us a favor. Share this content with other people that are just like you, struggling to try to figure this out. And remember, I appreciate you listening, but remember this key point. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on your own business, and I'll see you in the next episode.